This is a place.
This is a place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place. Welcome to this week's episode of This is a Place podcast. My name is Nate.
My name is Brandon.
And happy National Cake Day.
You
just had some cake a few days ago.
I did have some cake a few days ago.
So did I.
You did? For why?
On the 14th, I did. I feel like that was a few days ago.
Oh, that was your wife's birthday.
That was my wife's birthday. Yeah, November's a good month for birthdays.
It is.
All my friends have birthdays in November, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, if you count me and your wife, at least in this.
Two of my friends.
Two of your friends.
Friends. Two of my friends. No, I think I got a handful of people for November. I feel like November is a busy month for birthdays. So
you know why?
Cake, which is
weird
why? Because it's supposed to be why?
What's 9 months before November?
St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, Valentine's. So I was just saying, isn't November really a pie month?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
good to throw in some cake too.
Are you a pie guy or a cake guy? If given the opportunity, which one you picking?
Oh, I would probably lean more towards the cake.
Same.
Pie is good for occasions, on special occasions. For example, if you went to a buffet and you wanted to get a dessert, are you going to grab the pie or are you going to grab a piece of cake? Probably a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And I'm saying a good buffet, not just like any, not Golden Corral, but you're at like the
Vegas
building or Vegas.
Okay.
And they have a good cake or they have a piece of pie. I think I lean towards cake.
I mean, I think I'm in the same boat, but yeah.
Or you go to a restaurant too, right? And it's on their dessert menu. You're not going to grab pie over a piece of cake.
Is cheesecake pie or cake? I feel like it's kind of in the middle.
That's true. I would say, for like example, on Thanksgiving, taking cheesecake is acceptable. But if you took like a birthday cake to Thanksgiving dinner, that'd be a little weird.
It should be okay.
I think it passes. I think it flies under the radar.
Cheesecake?
Yeah, because it appears as pie shaped because you slice it like a pie and it's round like a pie.
And it has graham cracker crust, such as many pies.
There you go. My wife makes cheese, almost like a cheesecake jello for Thanksgiving. There's pretzel as the crust on the bottom.
Raspberry.
And raspberry. And then
it's a good one.
And it's always weird because it feels like it's more of a dessert, but it's really part of the main meal. So it's good because you get dessert part of the main meal. And my nephew loves it and he eats a ton of it, but he's on a mission right now, so he will not be joining us this year for the jello cheesecake.
He won't be there this Thanksgiving, huh?
Nope. And he already let us know that he's disappointed he's not going to have the cheesecake jello.
Where is he?
The place where they like to drink soda pop, mini sodas.
Okay. So there's a good chance he'll still have it though.
I'm pretty sure
he's in the land of casseroles and jellos.
True.
Second best to Utah, of course.
Fair enough.
So maybe
going back to your cheesecake thing. Yes, I can go both ways. Like I could see me getting cheesecake for my wife for her birthday and passing it off as cake. And then you could also bring it to Thanksgiving dinner and pass it off as a pie. It's very diverse and it's
pretty versatile. I'm not a big cheesecake guy. There's some I like some cheesecakes, but it's never my first choice.
I like the jello we were talking about. That one I really like. But I used to be a big lover of cheesecake, but as the years go on, not as much as I used to. Sometimes it's just too rich and just too much sugar.
Yeah.
But It is good.
Well, do you have some fun Thanksgiving plans?
I'm gonna play the pickleball,
As you
and
do.
then I'll probably go join the nephews for some football, and then going to my sister's house for Thanksgiving. Then hopefully BYU basketball beats up on who are they playing? Miami.
Hopefully BYU beats Miami. Then they
Beats
can play
Miami. Miami's playing
Davidson.
pretty well right now. And then
Hopefully they win on Saturday against UCF.
just we'll just eat a lot of food. Then I promised Bronco to have a Mario Kart challenge.
Mario.
Mario Kart challenge.
Mario.
So we'll probably end the night having Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, which I don't love because I didn't keep up with the video games, and it's like so busy compared to the 64 version that I grew up on.
All right, old man.
That's it. Exactly. Like it's just chaos. I feel like the new Mario Karts. And then you can go like super duper fast with the new Mario Karts. And I'm like, it's just too much. Just give me the old school Mario Kart, this Nintendo 64. I'll even take the GameCube, but the new stuff.
Too much for you.
Even that, like playing what's that one called that's really popular, the fighting game? Smash Brothers. I do not get that at all. Like,
Is it the
just give me the old
controller
school.
that's a problem for you?
I just don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. Like compared to the old school like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat's, where you just like one on one and you know when the person's gonna die. In Smash Brothers, you're like jumping on things and then you're still. It's just way. It's too busy. It's too confusing. I've gone and watched my son play in the esport competitions, and he's actually starting that up again. It's pretty soon here, which is good. Taylorsville brought it back, but I just even like watching the competitions, I'm like, when does the person die? Like, where, like you never know. Like they can just hang on forever, and all the kids get excited, like, oh, you should be dead. And then for Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat was just like straight up. You knew exactly what you were getting when you played that game. Smash Brothers is just way confusing and all. And then when you got like 8 people fighting at once, like what the Hannah Montana? It's too much, Brandon.
This might be one of your worst takes you've had, Nate.
No. And I still need to learn how to play Call of Duty. My friend had his he every 6 months they do a Halo party,
Ooh.
and he keeps saying he wants to invite me, and I'm like, oh, you can invite me, just know that I will not win. And I think that's one of the rules. If they have somebody who plays every day, you're not invited. It's like people who play it occasionally, because if you play every day, like you're gonna kill everybody, and it's
It's
not
not gonna be
fun.
fun.
So I'm like, well, I'll be the guy that loses. So I still need to play. It's just too, like I said, it's too busy. It's too much. I'm getting old. Give me the old classic Mario Brothers and Street Fighter 2. I love Street Fighter 2, but
We'll get you there, Nate. We just gotta get you on board.
I just want to be cool with the kids.
Saying that Smash Brothers makes no sense and you don't know when people are gonna die.
I don't understand
That's
it.
that
I
doesn't
just
put
don't.
you on track to be one of the cool kids. I'm sorry.
No, no, I just don't. And Bronco is like amazing at it too, so it's hard to play him in that. Maybe I need to just play it. Start when did it come out? Was it the 64 that it originally
Yep.
started with?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should play the old school 64 and then figure it
I'm
out.
not amazing at it, but you can come play with me. So I mean, I can probably hold my own,
No.
but I don't spend enough time on it that I'm.
Well, every time I play with you, you're no fun because I just get the crap out of you. And
Why? I don't
I don't.
understand. It's the first time you've ever played this game. I think we played hockey, right? And you just
We've played
crushed
hockey
me.
and football.
You crushed me in football too.
Yeah, remember I beat up
That's right.
both you and Matt in football.
That's right.
But then you guys, I think Matt, did he beat me in hockey? I think he did. We turned around and played a little bit of hockey. And
I don't know. Either way, I hate it. I should beat you, but
you should.
it is what it is. Well, let's get into this episode, hey?
Yeah. What do you have for us today, Brandon?
Today we had a very special guest, and I think I teed it up the wrong way because I think in the episode I said it was kind of a Valentine's letter because that's what they do on NPR is they write Valentines to other podcasts and people they appreciate what they're doing. What I should have said instead was this is kind of a Thanksgiving because it's Thanksgiving week and this is our Thanksgiving episode. So I'll fix that and say this is more like a thanks to our friend that came on today to talk about his podcast. Does something kind of similar to what we do, maybe a little more focused on interviews and people within the community. We do that, right? But we do a lot of just whatever we want to talk about, I guess. I mean,
Right.
we don't really have a set format. We just chat. So we have Erik Nilsson of Small Lake City came on the podcast and chatted with us. All right. Well, we kind of have a intersection of podcasts on today's episode. So happy to have you on. And I want to start by saying NPR, at least one of the NPR podcasts I listen to, I think it's the financial one. Every February, they do this love letter thing where they send a Valentine to someone they appreciate or admire, or maybe even have a little bit of envy of. And that's how I feel about your podcast. So this is me doing that because I mean we've done our podcast for quite a while, but and you've done it since 2023.
Yeah, just over 2 years now.
Okay, so we'll get into that, but just wanted to say I'll take a look at your podcast and the success you have and what I see you do from afar from our position and have a little bit of envy, but also a love letter to say, great work on what you're doing. So
Hey, no,
we'll start
totally
like that.
appreciate it. Yeah, no, I totally appreciate it. Like I'm sure you guys have these conversations with people where as soon as you tell someone like, oh, I have a podcast, that's either like one of two things. One is people are like, oh my gosh, I have this idea for a podcast. I've thought about doing it forever. And then the second one is, oh yeah, I did a podcast once. And it's something like, oh, I did it for 2 or 3 episodes. It was way too much work and I gave up. And
Yeah.
so it means a lot coming from people who have done podcasts and currently podcast because it's like I know y'all have been in the trenches and have felt it before. So no, much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
of
funny you bring
course.
that up because we were literally just talking about that about 20 minutes ago, how people think it's a good idea and then they do it for a few weeks and go, okay, this is work. It takes a little bit of work.
Totally.
So
Very easy
we
to
get
lose
it.
steam on something like this. Because if you don't,
Yeah.
it's hard because you don't always get that gratification right away. Like if you're not seeing what, oh man, this is a great idea. This is going to blow up within a couple weeks or whatever. And we still haven't hit that level, but we enjoy doing the podcast. So we just keep going and we're just consistent,
Yeah.
That's the one thing you can't say against us is our
Well,
consistency.
our secret to success is that it's just an excuse for Brandon and I to hang out. So his wife will let him hang out with me otherwise. So it's just a way to see
Got to go
Brandon more
record a
often,
Yeah, it's
podcast.
quarterly.
work.
Yeah, we got to do it for the podcast. I can't tell you how many times I said that to my wife too. It's for the podcast. I have to go. Sorry.
There's a lot
So
of things in life that like are really a vehicle towards other things. Like, I mean, I'm a golfer, so it's like I'm going golfing, got to go hang out with my friends, or even of like golf being a vehicle to go travel other places. It's like, oh, I want to go play this course, I got to go do this. And
Yeah.
like I have a buddy I know that he has a podcast where it's literally just him and his buddies fantasy football. Like nobody
oh,
listens to it except for like them
Yeah.
right.
and maybe like their siblings or maybe a couple
Yeah.
friends, but they like doing it. It's fun. It automates, like especially like automating things in life that give you what you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, like going back to golf again. Me and my buddies have an annual trip that we do because we know that. Oh, now we know that we're gonna have a weekend together every year. Otherwise, it gets stuck in the group chat. Nothing ever comes of it.
Yeah, we have Brandon's mom and then two other people that listen to it, and then a guest. So about four people. So
Hey, that's three more than most podcasts.
there you go.
Exactly. We're in the top something percent, right?
So tell us about you, Erik. Like, where did you grow up? And then how did you decide this is going to be your topic for a podcast? Well, how did you get into podcasting and why Small Lake City?
Yeah, I'll kind of start from me and then kind of how the podcast came to be. So I mean, born and raised Salt Lake City, grew up in the avenues, then moved down kind of like Yellcrest, Sugar House area, Ensign Eagle, Bonneville Bobcat, Clayton Cougar, and then East High, not Wildcat, I almost said Wildcat, that's funny, Leopard. And
Wait, it's not a
uh,
Wildcat? Wait, what?
get your head in the game. So like as true like Salt Lake citizen as could be. I mean, like Lake Powell trips in the summer, skiing in the winters, as stereotypical as could be. Went to Washington for 2 years for mission, came back, went to the U for school, studied finance, moved up to Seattle, and then came back. And me and my partner at the time, when we moved back, and it was around 2019, honestly, where I kind of had this itch to do something else. Like I had a job, a career, and I just felt like there was something else I needed to be doing, and kept kicking a couple tires of companies I wanted to start. And it really wasn't until I was listening to a lot of podcasts, especially interview podcasts, I mean, Armchair Experts, Smartless, a little bit of Joe Rogan here and there, but really loved that process of being able to sit down from someone, have an idea of what you wanted to get from it, and ask them the questions that you wanted to. And one thing I should say is, at this time, I was working in strategy consulting, doing in-depth interviews, focus groups. So a lot of like professional interviewing where someone's paying the company to go talk to another company because they wanted to understand something better. So it's really like from that, I got a lot of great training, professional training of how to conduct an interview. And so as I was going through this, I mean, identity crisis, quarter life crisis, whatever you want to call it, um, kind of had this idea, and I was like, well, what if I did a podcast? Like if I did, what would I do? Which is the most quintessential early 30s thing that you can ever say is like, well, maybe I should start a podcast. What should we do?
Used to be
And
bands, now it's podcasts, right?
exactly. Everybody wants to hear my ideas, of course. And so little by little was kind of thinking about some ideas. And I, at the time, I was living downtown at this apartment building, especially like during the beginning of COVID. And I looked out and I saw so many cranes of things growing, things building. I mean, you see all of how many people are moving to Salt Lake, how much, I mean, our like just GDP is growing. And when I lived in Seattle, I saw the same thing. I would look at the top of my apartment I lived in, and I would count like 16 cranes. Any day there would be 16 cranes building some sort of high-rise building. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, there's just so much going on in Salt Lake. But I feel like if someone were to corner me and be like, well, who are the people doing it? Who are the people making this happen, from an agnostic perspective of what's going on? Who are they? And I wouldn't know. So I was like, well, what if I did about Salt Lake? What if it was interviewing people that are, I mean, doing good things, which is as subjective and vague as it sounds. And then so that's really when it was like, all right, well, if I did, what would it be called? What would the outline look like? What would the like initial guest list look like? And really started kind of narrowing in on this. And I wish I remembered the epiphany I had around Small Lake City. I think I was out one night, and I mean, it's a thing that everybody around Salt Lake knows is Small Lake City. I mean, you go to Trader Joe's and see the kid you grew up with that graduated from high school with that you don't want to see. You find out that your ex-girlfriend's dating your cousin. I mean, it's like all of these little just like microcosm experiences. And so I kind of had by then everything bundled up. Like I knew what it was going to be like. I knew what the interview flow was going to be like. I knew who I wanted to have on. And at the time, with me and my partner at the time, we didn't even know if we wanted to be here. It was like, hey, like, do we want to buy a house? Because it's like, let's see, end of 2021. And so it was like, hey, do we want to buy a house? They're expensive. Do we want to be here? Both of us worked remote. So it's like, we could be anywhere. Where do we want to be? And during that conversation, like our lease was coming up, and she kind of proposed, and she's like, well, what if we like lived in a van and went and found, like, thought if there was somewhere else we could go? And so all of a sudden we start kicking that idea down the road. It's like, well, if it did, what would the van look like? Where would we go? And so all of a sudden I have this kind of like fork in the road of, do I start a podcast, or do I go explore America? Needless to say, I went and took 6 months, 36 states, and really uncovered every stone on that path. And it was wild to see. And it gave such a big perspective to me of what's going on everywhere else in the country. Because I mean, we're so lucky to be here in Salt Lake and in Utah in general, where everything's pretty optimistic. Things are looking up. We've seen where things are going, and we see where things have been. And there's a lot of optimism in the air. People are being here. There's a lot of great outdoors. There's, I mean, the tech that's growing. There's tons of entertainment and tourism. And after seeing everything, I remember walking down the mall in DC, which was kind of like the last stop before coming back. And I was like, I'm excited to go back to Salt Lake. Like I almost had this like Brigham Young epiphany of like, that is the place.
Mhm.
And so then come back, and ironically, me and partner at the time broke up. 6 months in a van, they'll do stuff to people. But after that had happened, like 3-ish months later, that feeling came back of like, hey, you should do this again. So I picked up where I left off, and I'll never forget the day that I had everything I needed in my Amazon cart, and my fingers just like hovering over the order button, hand shaking, and I did. And I posted an announcement to my personal social media of doing it, and then it's kind of been off to the races ever since. And the one thing I'll say on it is I remember when I was recording the first episode at Edison House with George and Charlie Carden, who founded it. And when I was recording that episode, it was like this moment of like, this is it. Like that 2019 feeling you had of what is this thing I'm missing out on? It ended up being this. And I'm not going to say that this is the end all be all of it, but it's definitely part of the journey. And it's been fun and rewarding to see where it's taken me.
Very cool. So why, I guess you kind of answered that, but how do you come up with your episodes, your topics for each week? Give us some tips
It's
and advice for something we've been doing for 5 years and we always struggle with coming up with subjects.
I'll give you the more smart answer, and then I'll give you the ADHD stupid answer after. So the smart answer is at the end of every episode, I always ask the guests 2 questions. Number one is if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear about them and what they're up to, who would you want to hear from? And it's fun because I just interviewed them. They had a good experience, and they're like, oh my gosh, you should have this person, this person, this person, this person. And then I'm able to turn around and follow up with them after the episode, be like, hey, would love for you to intro me to this person, this person, this person, and this person. And then so it's nice because it's nice now because I can usually DM people uh on whatever social media, and they'll usually respond and be like, yeah, let's schedule, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But there's also people that doesn't work, especially once you reach kind of like a upper echelon or caliber of people. But the dumber ADHD answer is like I just get curious, and like there's things I know about, and those are the people I can reach out to and have. And then there's people who I ask for referrals for, and those are the people I might not know about. But then there's things that I get curious about. And like the most recent one that I'm starting to schedule for is uh, the local farming community. And I mean like that in the sense of like restaurant sourcing, because there's like a TikTok I saw where someone went on this rant about how restaurants today are really who can cook Cisco the best. And after talking with a couple people that I've had on the podcast, like Nick Zacco of Urban Hill and Manoli Katsanevis of Manoli's in Perea, I was like, tell me who I should have on that you source your food from. Like, oh, you got to talk to this person and this person. So it's nice, like, that have the privilege that I can, essentially reach out to people like, hey, I want to sit down and talk to you for an hour and a half and pick your brain. And like, yeah, let's do it. So it's kind of like this, whatever tickles my fancy at the point, try to talk to who I know and go from there.
Sounds
That's a
about
smart way.
similar to
Yeah.
us. I've been surprised since we kind of have similar topics for our podcast, which I love. It's been interesting that people would reach out to and they're like, absolutely, let's do this. And then the people that you think that would be all on board are like, nope, I don't got time for you. You're like, really? Okay.
Yeah,
And then we also had people reach out to us to come on our podcast. And we've had people flake or whatever, but it's just been interesting. The you never know until you ask, right? And a
totally.
lot of people are usually more than willing to come on and chat about themselves or their business or whatever it may be.
Totally.
But sometimes it's hard to come up, well, what am I going to talk about next week? And then sometimes we have 2 months of material, and then every once in a while,
Feast or famine.
don't know what that's.
I know how that
So
goes.
So are you on a weekly? Is it a weekly episode, or what's your cadence for how you do things?
So when I first started, I wanted to do bi-weekly just because, it's a lot. And I didn't even know what I was getting myself into when I first launched. And then my problem was I told my I told myself that I was going to release the first episode once I had 5 episodes recorded. And then the first episode for context, I recorded the first episode the end of July 2023 and released the first one on October 1st, 2023. And as I was like, oh, bi-weekly, I'm like, okay, so those 5 episodes will essentially take till almost the end of the year. And I'm like, that's going to be a lot of stale conversations by then. So then I went to weekly. And then ironically, I ended up, like, I think in December, the last 2 weeks, I ended up releasing 2 a week just because I was like, I need to get these out, which I shouldn't have, but you live, you learn. And then my goal for 2024 was I will release a new episode every week. And sure enough, like end of 2024, I had 52 episodes. I was like way stoked on it. But then as 2025 came in, I had this realization at the end of 2024. Like, I never wanted to be a content creator. I didn't want to be someone with a ring light in my face, posting on social media. Like, not that I had anything against content creators or anything in that regard. I just didn't want to be that. I wanted to have a podcast, and that was it. But then I had this epiphany about a year ago where I was like, kind of thinking of this intersection of like, how do I grow the podcast, but then also get attention from potential, I mean, advertisers, partners that could partner with. And I was like, I think this is the best way forward. And so I was like, you know what? We'll try it out. We'll test it. We'll see how it goes. And so around then is when I started creating a lot of content, and like things grew really quickly. I remember at the beginning of this year, I think I started with like 6,000 followers on Instagram, and now almost to 22, 23,000 on there. Like, just got over 10,000 on TikTok. Just got over, I had literally in the last week and a half, I've gone from 300 followers on Facebook to like 4,500, which
Wow.
everyone's grandma is apparently sharing everything now 2 years later, which is wild. Um, and so it's been interesting to see how that's just kind of all come together of like, you have these hypotheses, you test them out, you go. Whereas this year, I've focused a lot on the content side and let a couple weeks slip by here and there. And then at the end of, I had episode 100 come out about a month ago. And I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and she's like, that sounds like a good place to have season one end. And I was like, that's a great idea. So ended that, taking a break, and then beginning of December, which is in now, a week and a half, season two is going to start.
I think that's
Awesome.
where I've got like you seems like your episodes usually follow. You've got a you have a guest on, and that's kind of where the episode goes. We kind of take the approach of what do we want to talk about? If we have a guest, great. If not, we'll just talk about that topic. And what I've seen from you a lot is, and probably what's made you grow so much more, is all the reels you do about like High School Musical. You've got one about the Fun Dome, Emo's Grave, just kind of like all those things that are just really unique, nostalgic, and fun about Salt Lake City. Like those types of things that are the reason why I wanted to start the podcast. Like I love these weird little cool things about Utah, about Salt Lake, and I just want to have a place to talk about it. And
Totally.
so, what what has been your process? You said you didn't want to be a content creator. You're kind of going into that now with these reels that you're doing, or where TikTok, wherever you're doing them, right? How has that
Yeah.
process been, and what have you seen from that?
I mean, there's definitely a learning process in all of that. Like, and once, and again, going back to ADHD, is like it became a hyper fixation in an extent of like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want this to do well. Like, I don't just want to go create a bunch of content and have it like flop,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. Like, I want to produce something that people want to enjoy. Like, I didn't want to create a podcast just to throw something into the ether. I wanted to create something that people would enjoy. And as I started to do it, I mean, it started with a lot of, I mean, anybody who spends or creates content knows, I mean, you can open up CapCut, there's going to be templates, and you can just watch a bunch of templates and be like, all right, how can I apply this to like whatever my niche or um, community or audience is? And so I started with that a lot of like, I remember I made one about, it was before Christmas time, and it was about like wanting a Utah hockey club jersey for Christmas. And then I remember I made one about Sugar House Pub closing because they had like 250 minors in there. And so it's like the more I just kind of created this content around, it's again like hyper focused things going on in our area, like people just really liked it. And then I mean, to the same thing as y'all, and I can probably relate to, it's like you just kind of get curious about things. And I remember when I created a reel, I mean, especially over trying to think of a good example, but I mean, even recently over Halloween when I did Spooky Lake City of all like the haunted places, like I
Mm-hmm.
just get curious. I'm like, oh, I've always heard of the old mill, but like, why do people think it's haunted? What has it been? And next thing you know, I'm down a Google rabbit hole in a ChatGPT prompt, and I'm like, I had no idea. And so it's been fun as this curiosity just kind of starts going into things of just learning so much more about it. And then you find out that other people are so curious about this too, especially like I mean like the Fundome and the 49th Street Galleria. There's so much nostalgia in it for so many people. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that's where I got my first kiss. That's where I went on my first date. That's where I took my kid on his eighth birthday. That's where I went on my eighth birthday. And so it's fun just to see people have all these experiences. And then like you have the pre-work of doing the research. And then all of a sudden people keep piling on of all these other experiences, things that they might know. And then people will DM you things. You're like, I didn't even know that was true. Or like, honestly, like there's some things I get DM'd when I post about stuff that I'm like, I don't even know if I can share this with anybody else. Like at one
Right.
point I posted about something and someone DM'd me and was like, yeah, that's why he's probably a FBI informant, huh? I was like, oh my, like, and it all came together. And I was like, but I can't tell anybody about this because the last thing I want to do is like out someone who's an FBI informant and see what happens after that.
Podcast gets shut down. Just kidding.
I just disappear.
Yeah. It's funny. I see one, and you probably know your numbers better than I do, but we recently did an episode on Fun Time Kids Care, which I see you've got a reel on, and that one's knocking on the door of 1 million views. So that's one that really blew up. What are some of the other ones you've seen that really got a lot of traction, got people's
I
attention?
mean, it's so weird because like there was a conference I went to earlier this summer with Visit Salt Lake that they bought a bunch of content creators on. I was there, and there's a guy named Brock Johnson who's a social media, I mean, especially Instagram consultant to help people grow. And he gave this example of like you could have like the think you have the best idea, spend so much time on it, post it, flops. And then you'll post something that you're like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And it'll go to the moon. Like like the best reel I've ever posted that's just north of 2.2 million views
Jeez.
was about like a girl in her 30s going on a hike with a guy after dating for 3 months and seeing something in his pocket and thinking he's going to propose, but really it's just like a rock he kept in his pocket. Like I remember doing that in between calls one day, and then all of a sudden a month later, I'm like, this is so like I'll even look at my girlfriend sometimes after I post something like, look how stupid this is. Like this is so stupid. Or like a lot of the Julia Reagan stuff I did,
Oh
it
yeah.
was fun because like people around the country are like, I drove past this yesterday, I had no idea. Now it's on my feed. So I'd say like a lot of that. I mean, Fun Time Kids Care, everybody's just so curious about it. And it's wild because there's so many just like urban legends and so many people think they know exactly what it is. And then there'll be like 10 people with the same convictions of like 10 different points of view. Um, yeah, Lagoon one was fun because a lot of people don't know that Lagoon started on the side of the Great Salt Lake, and then
Mhm.
because it was started by a railroad company, and then that went defunct, and they literally took the buildings and moved it over to where it is now. But then it's wild the people that are like, "Well, that's not true." I'm like, go to Lagoon's website. Like, there's always like these like, or there was someone I posted recently about the tornado from 1999, and this guy was like, "Oh, this is really interesting," but it was 2000. And so I just responded with a screenshot of the newspaper clipping that's in the content. I'm like, a lot of confidence from people. So it's fun. It's fun to like see what people are interested in. And again, like there's so much of things I think it will do well that do it, but then there's some that flop and there's some that I think are so stupid and they do well. But again, it's just kind of like my own curiosity. Like I have a spreadsheet where if I have an idea, I'll just add it to it.
Yeah.
And then I try to post something like every 3 or 4 days on that front. And so I'll just kind of go to the list and get to it.
I think our best performing episode, which is blowing everything out, is about the Forgotten Carols. And for some reason, just like randomly every couple months, it'll just get tons and tons of downloads. I'm like, what about that is so interesting? Like it's great, but what about it is so interesting that people just randomly flock to our podcast to listen to that episode? Just it's just weird stuff. Like you said, you don't know what's gonna hit. And I remember we didn't even put that much effort into that episode, right, Nick?
No,
Like
it
it
was not
was
a very good
it's
episode.
not a good one. And I'm like,
It's not the one
why
we
is
tell
that our
people to go
best
listen
one?
to. Yeah.
Totally. And then it's like probably the same way for y'all where someone will like you'll tell someone you have a podcast like, oh well, what's your favorite episode? And you'll be like, well, this is mine, but it's definitely not going to be yours. Like the one I always usually tell people is with Micah Christensen, who's the founder, well, not founder, sorry, third generation art dealer who his family started Anthony's Fine Art and Antiques, which is again, an interesting place. Just let's see, third south and fifth or sixth east.
You have to add that to the
Um, it was an
list.
it was it wasn't Catholic. It was some sort of Protestant Christian church came in and they like built a quote temple unquote to because they if the Mormons are gonna have a temple in Salt Lake, we got to build one. Then it ended up not
Whoa.
working out, and this family bought this kind of like old temple. Like the building's amazing, and it has like all of this amazing art, a lot of like early uh, Mormon pioneer artifacts, a lot of Utah artists, but then also just like a lot of things you're like, how did this end up in Salt Lake City, Utah? Like he's someone who, I mean, born and raised here in an art dealing family, went to England to get his master's and PhD in art, studied in Spain, and like he's just someone who knows everything. And so just sitting there and like talking to him, and any rabbit hole you go down, he has some sort of story or knowledge or fact or nuance that you're like, I don't know how you know this, but I could talk to you about it all day.
Yeah, I've never heard of that place, but it's on the list now. It looks very cool. Looks yeah. That's what I love about what we're doing is, and Nate, we'll always say this, like we just didn't realize how much neat and unique stuff was here just in our own backyard. And some doing something like this, if you don't get, not saying we're not making money, we're not famous, whatever we're trying to get out of it, we're getting out of ourselves, and we're just finding out about our own place where we live, things that
And
you
there's a lot of
normally
things.
wouldn't go explore.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things that we've known about forever, but you just never make the time to go investigate or check out the place.
And
And
it
there's a lot of
becomes this
cool
like
things
snowball.
yeah.
Like, because all of
Oh,
a sudden, like you'll meet someone or Thanksgiving dinner, family dinner, meeting someone new, talking with friends, and you'll go off on something like, how do you know that? You're like, I've been doing this podcast where we have done it enough that I just know a bunch of random facts and things about Salt Lake.
in my office meeting every Tuesday, they do a thing called Kahoot, if you know what that is. So
Mm,
it's
yeah.
basically a quiz thing that you do online. So there's probably about 30 people who participate. And the girl who sets it up did all these random facts about Utah. I knocked it out of the water because everyone's like, how do you know all this weird random facts? I'm like, you do a podcast for 5 years, you get to know about the Gilgal Gardens, for example. Nobody,
Yeah.
that's what's interesting. A lot of these places, a lot of people don't even know exist.
Totally.
And they've lived here their whole lives. So it's been fun to explore and find things that have been around for a while and never knew about.
Exactly. It just takes that little bit of effort, goes so long. Goes so far.
What is on your list that's kind of those, blue sky? I want to interview this person, or I want to do something about, this place.
Good question. I'd say if there's one person who I would like tap my heels together, wave my wand, wiggle my nose, whatever, I think Brandon Fugel is fascinating
Mm-hmm.
because, he's the commercial real estate guy of Utah. You drive anywhere and you'll see his name on a billboard. And then you follow him on Instagram and he has all of these collector's items that you're just like, how did you even find these? And then on top of that, he owns Skinwalker Ranch and has a show going there. But then also has, so much of this like entrepreneurial and he's just in the like the epicenter of so many different things in Salt Lake and in Utah in general. So lots of things I want to talk to him about for sure.
Yeah, I think he's on my list as well. That's a hard one to get.
Yeah, but then also as is probably easy to say, I do want to talk to someone like the Utah Mammoth players and be like, listen, when y'all found out you're coming to Salt Lake, everybody was pissed. How does that change to now? You could have a similar conversation with Utah Hockey Club. Sorry, not Utah Hockey Club, Utah Jazz. Kyle Whittingham, I have gotten very close to talking with him. Totally. And obviously, like someone like Post Malone, like he's mentioned in podcast, like some conversations of why he's moved to Salt Lake, but he's never really gotten into the details of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even Young Boy Never Broke Again, or Young Boy NBA, who's this super famous rapper that's from Louisiana that came to Salt Lake when he was a kid because he had family here and now has a mansion up north of Ogden and calls his place home. And so
Is
it's
he
like
still under house arrest? Is he still here?
got pardoned by Trump actually,
Oh.
and then so he got pardoned by Trump. So I know. So I had you might know the Instagram account SLC Scoop. I
Uh-huh.
had them on the podcast and partnered with them on a lot of stuff. But one of their guys, Chris, is one of his videographers. And so essentially, as soon as he got off house arrest, he's like, I want to go anywhere else. So we went like all around Utah to the national parks, then went to Europe, and then started a countrywide tour, which is probably going to be a worldwide tour soon. And he just gets to backpack along.
Wow. That would be a cool one to have on.
Also, I don't know how be like, come on, focus up. We're gonna have a conversation here.
Yeah.
He seems
Might
to be a
be
very just easily distracted individual.
the ADHD to much higher levels than maybe some of us.
Yeah. But I
That's
guess
cool.
a question back to you guys is what do you feel like some of the places that you've covered have been like the most surprising or eye-opening, or ones on your list that you're most excited to cover?
Oh, good heavens.
Got a
Sometimes
long list.
I have to, Brandon, have we talked about this? I feel like we've talked about this. Or Brandon would be like, yeah, Nate, we did that episode like 3 years ago. Oh, okay. Um, I think like I brought this up on an earlier episode, but I had some from my old company, some company party for our national company at the time, and they came out from Texas, and they're like, "Hey, take us around, show us Utah for an afternoon." And we took them to Gilgal Gardens. We took them to the
Internet Peace
um,
Gardens.
internet, yeah, the Peace Gardens. I even had a client who bought a property across the street from the Peace Gardens, had no idea they were across the street. And like, dude, go check this place out. It's literally across the
Yeah.
street from your rental. Hobbitville, stuff like that. It's kind of fun to, when I grew up before the internet, so all the urban legends and then trying to find out the truth behind them has been kind of fun to hear. There's a lot of weird facts that we've learned. For example, my kids go to Taylorsville High School. A lot of people don't even know, they even went to Taylorsville, that there's a gun range in Taylorsville High School. I think the only one in Utah,
Didn't know
right?
that.
For a high school.
Yeah.
So you learn all these weird random facts by just talking to people who have the knowledge of the places. But I don't know if nothing really comes to mind of like earth shattering. This was amazing. It's just a lot of cool random facts. Useless trivia is what we have, right?
Until
We
it's a Tuesday morning with a Cahoot, and then it's
Yep.
your
And
time to
yeah, it
shine.
won me free lunch for the day, so I'll take it. So it's finally paying off, Brandon. 5 years later, I made 15 bucks.
Yeah, we've got some had some fun along the way. We've had some cool guests. Like we had someone from the Sandlot on. We had someone
Mm-hmm.
from the main guy from the Troll 2 movie. So like just some kind of fun, unique guests that we've been able to get.
Totally.
Nobody like, you know, not big Utah royalty or anything, but still just kind of these fun conversations where it's like never thought I'd be doing this, talking to this person in depth. I'm like you, I've
But that's
always
the
been
beauty of a podcast, right? Like, there's no way you would be able to have those people unless you're like, hey, I have a podcast, come talk. Like, I had a conversation with, I'm like taking a step back. Like, I always thought that giving back meant giving money. Like, you
mm,
give back when you have enough money, they'll put a name on your on a building at BYU or at Utah, and then that's you giving back. But really, giving back can be something as simple as like, oh yeah, I'll go to coffee and talk to you about how to grow your social media. Or oh, you want to think through a podcast? Sure, let's go talk, go chat. And so one thing I've done recently is mentor a lot of college students into they're just trying to figure out what they're doing. And I feel like that's really helpful to them and just kind of structuring how to think about the next phase of their life. Um, but one of them was like, I just don't know how to, like, I want to go into this really competitive field, but I just like don't even know how to talk to the people. And I told him, like, hear me out. Start a podcast about people who would want to be looking into these things and go talk and then go invite those people to talk to you. And I promise you, most of them will say yes instead of no. And I told him to follow up with me. He never did, but uh, it's interesting that like that same thing of like, if you want to talk to people or access, because that's why a lot of people start podcasts. Like there's people I've talked to where like my sister's boyfriend, who is David Garbett from, I mean, his family's from Garbett Homes, but he owns a nonprofit about uh, uh, improving air quality in Utah and protecting our lands, especially in southern Utah. And he started a podcast just because he wanted to get thought leaders' attention and just hear what they had to say. Or there's me, Dwelle, the bike community based on the east side of Salt Lake. He has a podcast where they just interview people on the team so that if someone's like, hey, I kind of want to go ride with you guys, what are the people like, or what is it like to be on there? That's their reason. So it's like there's so many different reasons to have a podcast. And like some things as simple as like, hey, I just want to have some like time scheduled to hang out with my friend and talk about funny things.
yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do about it, but I like the idea of kind of the if you build it, they will come, right? What or kind of that principle of whatever you're putting out into the world, you know, what you're asking for, you're gonna get something back. And yeah, it's a fun journey and it's fun to watch you as you've gone through the process as well. And um thank you again for all you're doing. Keep up the good work and hope you can land some of these white whales in the coming months, weeks, years, whenever.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot more to come. Hoping I can land them as well. Keep on keeping on. At worst case scenario, you're winning lunch every week on a Kahoot and spending
There you
time
go.
with friends and learning fun facts. So keep it up. if it's the people who benefit the most is yourself. Like the things I've been able to experience, people I've talked to have been worth more than anything else. And so
Mhm.
it's been fun to see that all come together, but not like it's been easy, but it's still fun at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with us, and look
We
forward to
look
seeing
forward to
where you go.
season 2.
Season 2. There you go.
Hey, coming soon. No, appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me.
So, Nate, do you take any inspiration, any stir any ideas in you for our podcast, how we can be top of our game like Erik is for This Is a Place podcast?
We have, what's the word I'm looking for here, Brandon? We have the desire to do what he does. Do we have the ambition to do it? Maybe not
Yes,
so much
ambition.
sometimes. And the time. So I think it's awesome. I think his podcast is awesome, and I love the reels that he puts out that you kind of mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fun to see the stuff he's putting out, going, oh my goodness, like even with doing this podcast, we learn so many weird and random things about Utah that we never known, and he's even pulling out the deeper stuff. So which is great. I don't know if you call it plagiarism if we steal some of his ideas for future podcasts, but there's some topics that I've seen his reels of that I'm like, oh man, I want to dive into that more and learn more
Yeah.
about it. So yeah, sounds like he's got a good thing going, and love the fact that we're both talking a lot about the same stuff, which just means how great Utah really is.
Yeah, it just gives more. I mean, we're not in competition with the other podcasts. I think there's
It's
enough room for
okay.
everyone to go around.
Yeah, your mom can still listen to
Yeah.
both the podcast.
Yeah. But I think it's just more exposure to, like you say, what's truly in our backyard, not just the same old. Just branch out and see what else is out there,
Yeah,
and what cool projects other people are doing, like what Erik highlights a lot on his long form on his interviews and his podcast.
yeah, I
So
appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
yeah, give him a follow, give him a listen. Well, you may not be listening to this on Thanksgiving Eve, but if you are, have a
Yeah,
happy Thanksgiving weekend.
and enjoy your turkey bowls and your turkey. And we need to do a turkey bowl episode
Mm,
one of these Thanksgivings.
that we do next year. We'll put it on the
There we
list.
go. Yep, there we go.
Once we got the YouTube and the reels going,
Yeah. Oh, that would be so fun to put up like cameras and film us
like
playing.
it's a football game, like a real football game or something.
Yeah, put some highlights.
Make a cut, like the
Make
one
some
he does.
highlights and some low lights, probably.
Yeah, we'll 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 revisit that. It's definitely going to happen.
All right. We'll
Speak it
start
into
planning.
existence. Thank you for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
And this was somebody we just talked with.